Welcome to this edition of Wealth Coherence. I'm so thrilled today to get to introduce you to a dear friend and really respected and trusted colleague, Deborah Goldstein, who is a philanthropy advisor and does phenomenal work with a philanthropy camp for women and also is doing work with couples around their giving. And we're going to have a conversation around giving from the inside out and how to be really coherent with your values, with how you want to give and have an impact in the world. So welcome, Deborah.
Thank you so much for having me, Emily. I'm very happy to be here.
I love starting out with, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself in terms of what has you focused on philanthropy. It's a very niched way to consult with people, and it's great to hear how people come to their passion and their work because it's coherent for you, right? I'd love to hear your story about how you've ended up in this place.
Yeah, very much so. I've never thought of it before as it being coherent, but yes, it is. I guess by way of background, starting way back when, I grew up with parents who were both philanthropic and still
Mhm.
are, have been throughout their life. And so I think for me, that was something that just grew out of seeing my parents volunteer. My dad served on a lot of boards. My mom and dad started a chapter of a nonprofit here in Portland, and just sort of being immersed in that over time. And then when I left my studies, my first job was with Oregon State University, and that really became something that just resonated. Like you said, it was coherent for me. That
Mhm.
felt like the place for me to be. And I fell into grant writing, and that really felt like a good place to do good in the world for the organizations that I
Mhm.
was working with. And after years of doing that and talking with family foundations, I decided I would really enjoy working with these families on the other side of this equation. How can I support them in how they're giving in the world? And in particular, helping families get to a place where they are more intentional and have more meaning and joy around their giving.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, it makes such a difference when your giving is in alignment with who you are. You and I have spoken about how when I go to visit my 90-year-old father and he gets his mail, it's like a stack that's huge and it's all one request for gifts after another, like just donate, 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 and more compelling things and why to give and also giving him things so then he feels guilty and gives. And it's I just watch him with it. I'm like, why don't those just go right into the trash bin? Don't you have like your strategic giving plan and don't you have your charities that you've vetted that you and so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how you help people when they get it's like overwhelmed and there's so many needs and there's so many things going on in the world uh, to help them really hone their giving from a place of what's right for them, what's authentic for them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, we are inundated with requests, whether they be in the mailbox, in our email, we just get them. We go to an event and we get asked to give.
Mhm.
And there really needs to be a discernment around where we decide to give. And I have heard from many other people, your father is not alone, that they feel overwhelmed when they get all those requests. And some of us, like me, I get very good at opening it up and taking a look and recycling it, if it's not something that's in alignment with who I am or what I'm funding. Now, that is not to say that these are not important causes and that these organizations aren't doing good work, but it may not be something that is really what I feel passionate about and what I want to fund. And so that is my work with people, is to start from a place of what are your values?
Mhm.
What is important to you? And then help put some parameters into place for where they are going to give. And I often remind them, even Bill and Melinda Gates, when they started the Gates Foundation, had to have some parameters, even with all of their wealth that they were giving away, they have been giving away. Um, and now each with their own,
Mhm.
pockets of money, there are decisions to be made. So, so if people even at that level of giving are making choices around where they're giving, those of us with limited resources also need to be thinking about that too. And I'll use this opportunity to also say that when I talk about philanthropy, I'm not just talking about money. I'm also talking about people's time and their talent that they may be giving,
Mhm.
or their ties, their connections with people. Think about it. If you're buying the table at a gala dinner, you're bringing your ties to sit at the table with you, and you're saying, this cause is important to me. I want these, 3 or 4 other couples to be here with me. If you're taking your time to give to an organization, whether it be on a board or volunteering in some way, you want that to be in alignment with who you are. And that's just going to magnify for everybody involved, yourself and the organization and the people being served by the organization. It's going to sort of magnify the impact of that when it's in alignment with who you are.
Yeah. And how do you help people like tap into that alignment? Like when you talked about as a child knowing and growing up in a milieu where your parents were giving, volunteering, started a nonprofit, like did did they have conversations about it with you as you were growing up, or did you just happen to become aware of it as you got older? Like, how did you know that they were in alignment with those choices? Like, what had them choose to do that one nonprofit, or what had them choose to be on that particular board? Like, did they demonstrate that to you in some way, or because it's a great example in terms of like you grew up with it, so it'd be great to hear.
Yeah, and that's a great question because the research has shown that it's important to have these conversations, and for parents to see, to show, yes, I'm writing checks, and here's me, doing something, and share
Mhm.
both parts of that as a role
Mhm.
model for your kids.